Stagecoach.
Nope. Oh, nope.
It's a Western.
Hey guys, welcome to Topical. Nate here. Today is part one of a new series where I'm doing overrated or underrated for movies from a specific decade. The first one is the 1930s.
First film, Top Hat.
Top Hat,
A movie you and only Dame Chazelle have seen.
right. So here's the thing with 1930s movies. I'm probably going to say underrated for almost all of them because a lot of people are afraid to watch older movies. I don't know why. But underrated is absolutely my answer here. Top Hat, my opinion, one of the best musicals of all time, one of the best dance movies of all time. Out of the 10 movies that Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers made together, I think it's kind of objectively the best. Not my personal favorite, but I think objectively it is the best. You get the witty, old school Hollywood dialogue. You get the nice big set pieces. Everything about this movie is absolutely incredible. But as Strange Wang mentioned, pretty much only me and Damien Chazelle have seen that movie, so it's underrated.
Gone with the Wind. Another Oscar winner, I believe.
Yeah, I will say that one is overrated. Just because there are a lot of old heads that still talk up Gone with the Wind like crazy. But that movie's kind of racist. And I don't think that I can pinpoint a really specific thing with Gone with the Wind that really launched film forward or, made this massive impact other than like a shit ton of people saw it and it was like one of the closest things to a blockbuster that they had in that time period. But I still think it's a little overrated.
This movie is usually on the top 10 greatest movies of all time, and it is Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz. If you asked me if I thought Wizard of Oz was overrated or underrated 10 to 15 years ago, I might have said maybe either. I probably would say either slightly overrated or like it's just perfectly rated. But I'm actually going to say underrated now. Again, the way that movies have just drifted over the last decade or so has just really pulled people away from like really old movies like this. So I'm going to say underrated again. I saw a tweet the other day where somebody was like talking shit about the visual effects from The Wizard of Oz. And they were not being ironic. Like, they were being very serious. And then, thankfully, some of the comments was like, this was literally like one of the first movies that was ever in color. Please shut up. And I was like, thank you, person. So, yeah. Giving, like, the generation below mine's propensity to just, like, shit on anything that is older than them just because they think it's cool, I'm going to say it's underrated.
King Kong.
I don't know. I mean, actually, I do know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that movie is overrated because King Kong is stupid and I hate monkeys.
Not black people. City Lights.
Jeez. I mean,
comedy subjective.
And am I allowed to say perfectly rated for this?
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, that movie's perfectly rated. I think that movie gets all the respect it deserves. I love the Instagram reels that pop up now where they kind of show some of the like kind of behind the scenes footage of how they got some of his stunts to work by just using forced perspective and like things painted on glass and stuff like that. His physical acting is like top tier. It's not really required as much anymore. So maybe this is a little bit unfair, but no one will ever do like physical acting like Charlie Chaplin did ever again. And part of that is because that's just not something we really use that much anymore. And part of it is because he's just so incredibly excellent at it.
Frankenstein.
I think I just have to say perfectly rated on that. I mean, Frankenstein is absolutely he's a pop culture icon, but I would also say a film icon. They have unfortunately shooed him into like some not great movies, like that Aaron Eckhart one. But I mean, his first big screen appearance, it set the tone. All those old monster movies are really important to film because they're kind of our real first introduction to like genre work. And while they're not necessarily scary to me, they are like the film world's introduction into horror outside of like some silent films that existed before that. And I think that they do, for the most part, get the respect they deserve.
I'm the only person that thinks this, but when someone says Cary Grant, it's the first movie I think of, and it's Bringing Up Baby.
Huh, that's really interesting. Yeah, this is another one that's automatically going to go in the underrated list. This movie is hilarious. It is really, really genuinely funny. And a lot of people will just never watch it because it is old. And that makes me really sad. But you should, because it's one of the OG rom-coms. It has an absolutely... Like, honestly, I am borderline surprised and also happy that no one has like tried to really remake Bringing Up Baby yet, because the plot of that movie is so silly. It actually almost fits what I would expect modern day Hollywood to like try to make work in a comedy. But yeah, Bringing Up Baby is excellent. Absolutely stands the test of time, and you should watch it.
Swing Time.
Yeah, Swing Time. Underrated. Another one of the 10 Fred Astaire's Ginger Rogers movies. Not as good as Top Hat, in my opinion, but it is definitely probably at least... Man, that's tough. It's at least top 5 of their movies they made, which they only made 10, so that's like top 50%. That's good. But again, nobody watches these kind of movies anymore, and it makes me really sad. But it's not as good as Top Hat, but it is still really incredible. Excellent film, but underrated because, again, pretty much nobody but me and Damien Chazelle and maybe Scott Mantz are watching that movie in 2023.
You Can't Take It With You.
You Can't Take It With You.
Oscar winner.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good movie. I still think, I don't want to be a broken record, but I said I was gonna do this at the beginning of the video. I'm gonna say underrated because it's a decent movie. It's pretty sappy. I think it's a really interesting point that people talk about how unoriginal Hollywood is nowadays. Like Hollywood was ever original in the first place, because You Can't Take It With You is based off of a short story. So like even the 1930s, they're still just adapting things into movies. Just there wasn't news in the internet, so it wasn't like as widespread of knowledge, and not everyone reads books necessarily. But yeah, IP has existed forever. It's still very fair to say Hollywood is not nearly as original as it used to be. But You Can't Take It With You is decent. It's really sappy. It's a little corny, but it's still a really good movie. And again, you should watch it.
Another film I feel like people will say has not aged with time and not has the same impact or relevance as it did in the 1930s. And we're ending with the GOAT once again. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. James Stewart, baby.
Yeah, again, underrated for all the same reasons I just said. In that nobody was watching movies like this anymore. But this one is like, man, like, this movie is funny. It is smart. It has something to say. It's just one of those movies where it's like, it, again, is innovative in that it is showing the type of stories that you can explore through film in this medium that at this point in time, we really haven't heard people talking that much on the screen. So the fact that a movie like this came along so early in the history of talking pictures makes it really important, and it is also just a really good watch. So
You
it's
think
underrated.
with the patriotism and like that's not gonna come off corny to a 2023 eye?
What do you mean the patriotism?
Well, like the Boy Scouts and they all come together and Mr. Smith's dedication to America because America's not the most popular thing right now. It's kind of a circus.
Yeah. So here's the thing.
A film lover watching this for the first time in 2023, what are they going to think? What do you think they will think?
I don't know. I would hope that they would be smart enough to think about the time that this movie was made, and that the feelings about our country were a lot different then. Like the 1930s, America still really getting a lot of things wrong. So that really hasn't changed that much. Um, so I don't think that they're necessarily going to feel one way. I think people can enjoy a story for what it is. Uh, that's hard to believe if you get on Twitter at all. But the mass of us who consume film are in fact able to enjoy a story without having to be like, oh, he patriotism sucks because James Stewart gave a big speech about our country. Guess what? Unless you are from a country that is not America and you're watching this video, that's the country you live in. So my thing is like anyone who has issues with the way America is, it's not because they hate America, it's because they live in it and they want it to be a good place. And that's why they're upset, because the place that they live and love is not what they want it to be. So in some ways, I think they could actually relate to his character a lot because he also had a point to make. That's how I feel about it.
Here at Sound Topical, we're unfortunately poor, and this money you see on screen, that's CGI. That's not real money, because again, we're poor. So if you want to click in the ad eye in the corner, that video is monetized, and we can make money off it. So please go watch it.
And if you click an ad, we make more money. And if you really want to help, there's the thanks button right there below this video. Let me know what you thought of these down in the comments section below. Do you think I got any wrong, any right? What do you think's underrated, overrated? Any movies on this list we didn't talk about that we should have talked about? I don't know. There's a comment section. You should tell us. Like, comment, and subscribe.
It's not a game, it's a rich